L'chaim v'lebracha, l'chaim v'lebracha, l'chaim v'lebracha, l'chaim v'lebracha. Rabbi Weinfeld mentioned two names, but this is an Eisratzen. It's Achei Temimim Farbrengen, and it's Gimmel Tammuz. And for Achei Temimim Farbrengen, Nuftan, can Malach Machon, Solchashal, Nishtuftan. It's an opportunity for us to ask for all the things that we need. There's a story, it's a whole long story. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but the Nekuda is that there's a Yid whose name is Oramland. And his son was in a car accident. In that car accident, I think his father-in-law was killed. And the doctors told him, wait for the funeral, you'll make both together. Verstehst? With the little boy. That little boy is an Elter Zayden now. Mamish Nisim Gluyim. The Rebbe told, he called the Rebbe on the phone. And Rabbi Chadakov said, the Rebbe said, call back in 1 hour. So he sat to scream at Rabbi Chadakov. In an hour, there's not going to be anything to call. So Rabbi Chadakov said to him, Rabbi Yid, als gleibt nicht, was hat gerufen nachher zu? Rabbi Yid, if you don't believe, why'd you call? It was 6 o'clock in the morning. So he called back in an hour, and the Rebbe got on the phone. And the Rebbe said, the Gezeire is over, in English. The Gezeire is over. It's a whole long story. But the end of the story was that he came to eat the Kisla Farbrengen, his first Farbrengen. There was the Mangeshiket, he was on the floor, like Adel. But before he got there, he was standing near the Rebbe, and the Rebbe turned to him. And the Rebbe said, now see this Kislev, and the Alter Rebbe is here, and the Middle Rebbe is here, and the Tzemach Tzedek is here, and the Rebbe Marash is here, and the Rebbe Rashab is here, and the Rebbe, that's the Rebbe Shver, the Rebbe called him. Was schweigst du? Why are you being quiet? That's what the Rebbe said. Why are you silent? So he announced loud that the Eibusher should give his son a refuah shleima, and it worked out pretty good. So this is an Eisratzen. This is Achei Temimim Farbrengen, it's Gimmel Tammuz. We're here, we're Farbrengen together. The Rebbe said once in a Sikha, Chavdal Tevis, 60 years ago, Toshen Chav Gimel, that the Friedrich Rebbe said in the Sikha, that when you get together on such an occasion, and you repeat Divrei Arav, the words of the Rebbe, and you try to be mischazek in his heroes and to live the way he wanted us to live, the Rebbe said the words, is das the pidyon nefesh was men der lang den Baal HaYilula. This is the pidyon nefesh was men der lang den Baal HaYilula. So wir gaan reingehen, sagen wir Chaim und Levracha, der Eibusher Menschen jeder von uns und uns alle zusammen mit allen Sachen, was wir dürfen. Und zudem ein bisschen Sechel. Wird man stehen, was ist das Problem und was ist nicht kein Problem, was man darf und was man darf nicht. Nur sagen, sein Sekunde schlimme Teken von mir, L'chaim und Levracha. Und am Hat nahe Shabbat Koshes, soll der Eibusher Echet beim Alle sein. Für was? Weil Merub im Tzarchi Amcha mit Pneisha Daitom Ktsar, L'chaim. L'chaim, everybody, L'chaim v'Levracha, 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 L'chaim, Kalman, L'chaim v'Levracha, Halevi, L'chaim v'Levracha, L'chaim Temimim, L'chaim v'Levracha. Rabbi says, Gimmel Tammuz, L'chaim v'Levracha. So what are you supposed to do? What are you supposed to do? So there's minhagim that we have from the Rebbe. But how are we supposed to use this day? It's a simple question. How are we supposed to utilize this day, this opportunity, this reality? And I'm sure there's a lot of answers to this question. Everybody has their own hergish. Everybody has their own avoido. Everybody has their own strengths. Everybody has their own weaknesses. And each person's avodas Hashem is a reflection of the person that they are. But I think it's reasonable to say two statements. Statement number one, we get together on Gimmel Tammuz. This is going to sound so wrong, but it's also the truth. We're thinking about ourselves. And we should. In other words, Gimmel Tammuz is about the Rebbe. But it's about the Rebbe. It's about the Rebbe. What does that mean? It's about the Rebbe. It's about the Rebbe. Rein Shal Yisrael. Reish Beis Rebbe. Rebbe is Nosi Nitzur Tzeshel Yankov Avinu Roish B'nei Yisrael. The Indian from Rebbe is Yidden. You know, one of the most incredible notes from the Rebbe. There's probably millions of notes from the Rebbe. Kisvei Yad Kodesh. I think it's a guzma, millions. One of the incredible notes during Parshas HaSfarim, during the entire Iber Lebenish, during the episode with the Sfarim. I don't know the reasons why, but it came necessary for the Rebbe to write his own job description. And it's available. Anybody who wants to have it, you can Google it, you'll find it. After Gimmel Tammuz, they Farsim it. There was Sfarim that came out right after Gimmel Tammuz. I guess it was Gehasen, but Mamish after Gimmel Tammuz came out a few Sfarim, and this was printed there. And it's been reprinted hundreds of times since, where the Rebbe had to describe his own role. And the Rebbe writes that his Inyan must be mechazik of the people in the Torah Avodah, primarily by being a dugma chaya. And then it says, "V'acher kach bo avoidosei betor prat." Second is his avodah as a private citizen, as an individual. Everybody knows that in life, everybody understands, it's common sense. If you want to be a mishpia on somebody else, you have to be a shtickle mensch yourself, and you first work on you, and then based on how you're working on yourself, it spills over, you work on somebody else. The Rebbe wrote about himself exactly the opposite. His number one obligation is to the Chassidim. After, in addition to his obligation to the Chassidim, is his own personal avodah. This is Moshe Rabbeinu, this is a Rebbe. On the Shoma Klos, his whole Metzias is Sheish Meis Elef Ragla Oma Shanichi B'Kirbi, is us. There's a pidyon nefesh from Baal Shem Tov, Shalom Aleichem. So there are a pidyon nefesh from Baal Shem Tov. There's a pan from Baal Shem Tov, it's printed from the Gniza. It's a very interesting story how we even have the pan. The Baal Shem Tov gave the Mezitcha Magid the pidyon. The Baal Shem Tov gave, what's your name? The Baal Shem Tov gave the Mezitcha Magid a pidyon for Rosh Hashanah, and he told him, everybody gives pidyonis, and I want to give pidyon too. But I'm afraid that the Baal Shem Tov, everyone gave pidyonis to the Baal Shem Tov. And the Baal Shem Tov said, Ich will give my pidyon, I want to give a pidyon also, but I'm afraid. And he said to the Heilige Magid, Dir hab ich nicht mehr zu geben. I'm not afraid to give you a pidyon. And the Baal Shem Tov gave the Magid a pidyon. And the Magid had this pidyon. He kept it. The Alter Rebbe was the youngest of the Midian Magid. And the Magid had a special love for the Heilige, for the Alter Rebbe. The Magid's relation with the Alter Rebbe was really very unusual. And one of the symptoms of this incredible relationship between the Mezitcha Magid and the Alter Rebbe was that the Mezitcha Magid gave this pidyon as a Machon to the Alter Rebbe. The Magid got the Azuna, but from the Balach. It is given the Alter Rebbe. The Mezitcha Magid gave this pidyon to the Alter Rebbe. Alter Rebbe had this pan from the Baal Shem Tov. The Alter Rebbe had a Rebbe whose name was Rabbi Nachum Mendel of Vitebsk, who lived in Eretz Yisrael for the last 10 years of his life. And the Alter Rebbe corresponded with him. He mentioned it in Akdama of Tanya. He corresponded with his Rebbe. And Mendel Haradoker used to write shalos for chuvas for shilas that the Alter Rebbe had Yoni Avodah. So Alter Rebbe wrote a letter to Rabbi Mendel Haradoker. And he writes to him that I have this pan that the Baal Shem Tov gave the Rebbe, the Magid. And he told him, everybody gives pidyonis, I want to give a pidyon also, but I'm afraid. You are not afraid to give. And he gave the Mezitcha Magid the pidyon. And the Mezitcha Magid gave it to Alter Rebbe. The Alter Rebbe said, as a ois chiba, I'm sending it to you. Can you imagine? The Alter Rebbe wrote to his Rebbe, Menachem Vitebsk, that in order to show you how much I love you, I'm giving you this pidyon. And sent it to him. And a nes happened. What was the nes? It didn't make it to Israel. It stayed in Europe. Whoever the Mem Vav Chov Zayin, whoever the Mem Vav Chov Zayin means, the carrier didn't make it. It stayed in Europe. And Mistama the Rishon purchased it because we assumed that the Gnizah Chassidus was in the Rishon's collection, and a copy of that pidyon was survived, and it's printed. First printed in Atomim, and now it's printed in the Igris Kedish, Naltan Rebbe. It's printed in the Sefer Natoldos, Naltan Rebbe, and for the Baal Shem Tov. The whole pidyon is 3 lines, but it's such an interesting pidyon. The pidyon says Yisrael ben Sora. I should be makasha myself with Yidden wherever they are, and I should schlep them out of whatever schmutz they find themselves in, and bring them closer to the Eibishter. There's more words. You could look at the pidyon up in the original, but a Yid, I write before Rosh Hashanah pidyon. What's the whole pidyon? That I should succeed in being makar of other Yidden. Yisrael ben Sora, that I should be able to reach every Jew wherever they are, and schlepp him out of the schmutz therein and bring him back to the Mebishn. That's opinion of a Rebbe. Opinion that means in Lashon Chassidus, it's milmaila lamata. It's not milmata lamaila. It's ezeu chosedam es chasedim koinoi. A Rebbe, a Nasi B'Yisrael, his avodah is doing the Eibishter a favor. That's what it says in Tanya Perek Yud. Everything he does is for the Eibishter, not for sich allein. So his pidyon is about other Yidden. So we get together on Gimmel Tammuz Rabbi Yossi. It really is about us. I mean, the Rebbe is about us. It's such a funny thing to say, because it's all about the Rebbe. But it's all about the Rebbe. That means it's all about how the Rebbe is about us. I've told you the story before. I heard it from Chaim Baruch Halberstam that a woman got in line for dollars. I mean, dollars was a incredible gilui. Dollars was the way I look at it. Moshe Rabbeinu before Yisrael mixed in. That's dollars. Dollars was going back to Moshe Rabbeinu before the V'yat Techazah. They could blamir ois. So Moshe Rabbeinu was giving dollars, and his shver, he wasn't the Rebbe the shver, he was the shver, said, Novel Tibel, you're going to fall asleep. The people, let's make a whole situation with Sari Alafim and Sari Meis. Dollars was Mamish Moshe Rabbeinu without Yisrael's intercession. The Rebbe stood, and he saw each single person. Want to get mishpit. Lidresh Elokim. We come to the Rebbe, Lidresh Elokim. When you stand in front of the Rebbe, there's no lies. Everybody knows, in front of the Rebbe, there's no lies. As much as you want to lie, you know that there's no lies. And the Rebbe gave dollars. So Chaim Baruch stood there and took pictures. $5 a pop. Now they charge you $40, and they charge you $5. Yeah, but $5 times $2,000-$3,000. It's a nice panasa for a Sunday. No, what's 5 times 3,000? It's a $1, yeah. It's a shayna panasa. And he told me every time when the dollar's finished, the Rebbe gave him $1 for a fatz mayonas chutza. Chaim Baruch tells me, it's not for panasa. The Rebbe didn't mind that he made a living. The bottom line is, he's taking these pictures of fatz mayonas chutza. So he stood there with his camera, and he put it on manual, so it was always focused. You didn't have to worry about focus. You have automatic and manual, yeah? If he would take pictures automatic, half the pictures wouldn't come out clear because it happened so fast. He put it on manual, and it was focused on the Rebbe. The zoom was focused on the Rebbe. So he took picture, clip. If you understand pictures, cameras, you understand what I just said. Click, 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 and he went by mamish. So there was a ma'avir shiftei. The camera was the shavet. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, a woman comes up the steps, a lady, and she's very dignified. She looks very, very prominent, important. And she passes Chaim Baruch. When you came from downstairs to upstairs, the photographer was on the Rebbe's left, closer to the door, coming in from the hall that went to the steps, took it downstairs to the shul. She passes by Chaim Baruch. I said to him, Rabbi, please do not take my photo. Don't take a picture of me. Unless I tell you to. But she didn't want she didn't want an automatic. She didn't want I'm a mele, I'm mitzvah nashim ulumada. She wanted a... Anyway, she walks up to the Rebbe, and the Rebbe, Chaim Baruch's taking pictures, but if I'm her, no picture. She walks up to the Rebbe, and she says to the Rebbe, Rabbi, I would like to be photographed with you. I want to take a picture with you. So the Rebbe said, if we'll add an increase in learning in Teda mitzvahs. Nach Yiddishkeit. I don't think she was from. So she turns to Chaim Baruch and says, okay, now you can take the picture. And according to Chaim Baruch, the Rebbe came out from behind the stender and stood next to her. He took this picture. Everyone wants to know where the picture is because he had Chaim Baruch in Alei. I didn't hear the second, I heard it firsthand. The Rebbe came out and stood next to her. He said, Zukum and Hashtei, the Rebbe said, Azafru, Zukum and Haisof and Teda mitzvahs. All the Rebbe wants is we should be better. I heard different guesses to the Maisa, but I heard that someone who went into the Rebbe's in Chaimushka on Chamisha B'Tevis Tashmam Ches, was mamish a month before she passed away, and she said to the Rebbe's Chaimushka, "Good Yom Tov, Hey Tevis, Chamisha B'Tevis, I guess Yom Tov, Hey Tevis."
Who said?
It's nicht chillig wer. Emitzer gesagt. To the Rebbe's Chaimushka. And the Rebbetzon's reaction was a little bit underwhelming. She wasn't so excited, Everybody knows that in Pashas HaSforim, the Rebbetzon came out of hiding. You saw the extent to which the Rebbetzon were a team. The Rebbetzon geshtitzt dem Rebbe bis Mesiras Nefesh. And the following year, a year later, Memcha, someone said that you jumped it, and she didn't exactly react as excited as you would have expected. So this lady made some kind of comment to the Rebbetzin, it's a Yom Tif. So the Rebbetzin told her, as ba'ayich va sein gut, wird bei uns sein gut. End of story. As ba'ayich va sein gut, wird bei uns sein gut. When you'll be good, we'll be happy. When you'll be good, we'll be happy. But the Rebbetzin said, when all the Chassidim will have what they need, and they won't be filled with burdens and worries, and then Merubim Tzari Amcha, wird sein bei uns gut. This is the Rebbe. Huh?
You know the story of the Klein?
Can you tell it? Oh, with the Rebbe, it's a great story. I just spent 2 days with him. Every time I see him, I like to. He should tell a story. Noch einmal. Ich habe das spät. Ich weiß nicht, der Meise genau. Ich meine, Rabbi, I'm sorry.
The whole group.
Huh?
So given a group that needed to go to Seattle, and Seattle decided if there's no Isarus Le'ele from 770, they're not going to have, because they had a lot of choives in Gashmias. They didn't have money, and to have shluchim, you need to give them tickets, you need to give them an apartment, food, the cash in the geld. So they decided not to ask for shluchas. So this is why he was in 770 for Tishrei, and this was Tishrei. He needed to sign documents by Lukavsky upstairs. The office used to be upstairs.
Yeah.
He said. So the Rebbe asked him, "Where are you this year?" So he said, "I don't know yet." So she says, "How can be? It's already in the middle of Tishrei, and Abocher doesn't know where he is this year." So he said the whole story that Seattle didn't ask for shlichus. So he said, "Tell me again your name." Tomorrow, Rabbi Klein called 6 bochrim together to our office, and he told them that the Maskiras is paying the whole shlichus. Yeah.
Great. In any case, so Gimmel Tammuz Farbrengen is all about us and our avodas Hashem and our hiskashus, our connection to the Rebbe, and how the Rebbe is holding in the whole Metzias as bei uns soll sein gut, that by Yidden, by Chassidim should be good. And good means well, the kavanah for the Eibishter. We should do what the Eibishter wants. The Rebbe. I saw a letter from the Rebbe. It's just an example. I read a letter recently from the Rebbe where there was a chassan, a boy, a chassan and a kala. They were dating. They were meeting each other. This goes back a long time, 65 years. And in those days, a sheitel was a big deal. The Rebbe said, "Sheitlach ve'achdurach firim mit mesiras nefesh." There was a time that young girls didn't put on sheitlach. They would put their official, they'd put on hats or tichlach, but quite often their heads were uncovered. And the Rebbe wanted a sheitel. The Rebbe didn't mind if the sheitel is very pretty, but he wanted a sheitel. A woman should not walk out of her house without a sheitel. And the Rebbe said, why? Because if you walk with a tichel or with a hat, you'll move it back a few inches, or you'll even take it off if you want to look pretty. The Rebbe wanted sheitlach. So this bacher was dating a girl, and she made it very clear to him that she's not wearing a sheitel. It's out of the question. This bacher was a Lubavitcher bacher. I don't know who she was, but she was a Lubavitcher bacher. And he knew how important the sheitel was for the Rebbe. So he told her that if you're not going to wear a sheitel, then we can't get married. Now they had been apparently quite involved, and she was very hurt. I don't understand. You don't have to have a Yisrael to me. We've met so many times. We're compatible in so many ways. So because I'm not going to wear a sheitel, you're not going to marry me? He says, no. If you're not going to wear a sheitel, I'm not going to marry you. So she wrote a letter to the Rebbe. And the letter to the Rebbe, she basically complains, what kind of Avos Yisrael is this? What kind of guy is this? We're so compatible in so many ways. I have one chassadan. She's not going to marry me, and the Rebbe wrote her a letter. It's an Igris Kaddish. And the Rebbe writes to her that I want the best for everybody. I want the best for everybody. I want everybody to have every bracha b'gashmis u'beruchnis. But I know that the basis for all the brachas that we have b'gashmis u'beruchnis is kiyum ha'tereva mitzvah. The source of bracha for a yid is to be oizgehi, to be particular, to be precise in every mitzvah, in sur meran asei tev. So the Rebbe writes to her, I know that if you're going to get married, you're not going to wear a sheitel, it's going to be not good for you. So since I want only good for you, how could I give you such a bracha? How can I encourage your chassan to go through with the shidduch even though you're not going to wear a sheitel, because I know that's not what's good for you. It's not what's good for you. So kutmet again with the chachamim lemineim. They say, get over it. Don't be so particular. What's the big deal? Everything is not a big deal. A scratch on your car is a very big deal. A broken dish is a very big deal. In Yonah for Yerushalayim, what's the big deal? You have to chill. So the Rebbe says, you don't understand. I'm not being this way because I'm draconian, because I'm a nudnik, because I have OCD. This is the source of bracha. Every bracha that we have, the source of every bracha that we have is Kiyum HaTorah Mitzvah. This is Aleph Beis. This is basic. This is axiomatic to the Rebbe's teaching. We got married. I got married before Chav Zayin Adar. So in my years it was a different nusach. But when I got married, the Rebbe used to write to the chassan. He would say l'kol echad v'achas, meaning there was an answer separate for the chassan, separate for the kala. And the nusach was, in my niyarim, the nusach was, Yehi b'shah teva, mitzlach asken al tziyin. It should be in a good and a auspicious hour, I'll mention my tziyin. And sometimes the Rebbe would write nochain, Yehi b'shah teva, mitzlach asken al tziyin. A kid said, but a few years before I got married, it was a different nusach. When a chassan kala wrote to the Rebbe about a shidduch, the Rebbe used to write, and depending on the nusach, depending on the couple, sometimes the Rebbe would write, Betach yichlitu liyased beisa ma'aseh v'teira mitzvah. Certainly you are machlet. Certainly you resolve to establish a home of Teira Mitzvahs. Askat Tzim, so he's giving you his bracha. Sometimes the Rebbe would write, Be'im hechlitu, if you resolve, L'yased beis ma'aseh Teira Mitzvah, then I'll give you my bracha. And I remember once the Rebbe wrote to Chassan Kala, Kasher yachlitu, when you will resolve, L'yased beis ma'aseh Teira Mitzvah, the Rebbe said, you ask me bracha for a shidduch. There's a t'nai. The condition for the shidduch that your home has been built on the foundation of the mitzvah, anish hostanish my bracha. Otherwise, I'm not giving you the bracha. Now we lived this and we weren't paying attention. You were so sure. When you wrote to the Rebbe, you didn't always get answers. But for shidduchim, you had an answer every time right away. It was unbelievable. The Rebbe made shidduchim so easy. You wrote to the Rebbe within a half an hour. When it came to for shidduch, the Rebbe answered everybody every time. Come on. So when you got this answer, this was like a formality. But first of all, he didn't always write the same nusach. Betach echlitu. But the point was, the Rebbe said, you want my bracha? Boy, a Yiddish shtub. And the Rebbe writes, not because I'm bartering with you. Ich handle. You want my bracha? Okay, give me something. What I want is keep Shabbos and kosher and mikveh and film. No. This is the yesod of the bracha natzloch. The foundation of success by a Yid is Yiddishkeit. And the more we're particular in Yiddishkeit, the more kelim we make for the brachas of the Eibishter. So when you sit on a Farbrengen, Gimmel Tammuz, and Gimmel Tammuz is about the Rebbe. But Gimmel Tammuz is about our relationship with the Rebbe. Gimmel Tammuz is about us. And on a very simple level, a very practical level, Gimmel Tammuz, like any other specific, particular day, which we mark for whatever reasons, it's a day for achlatas tevis. It's a day for making good resolutions that are actionable, that are negei l'maaseh. You want to give the Rebbe nachas? We all know how you give the Rebbe nachas. You don't give the Rebbe nachas by sending him a diamond ring. You don't give the Rebbe nachas by sending him a beautiful piece of art, even if it's a picture of him. Even if it's a picture of him. You want to give the Rebbe nachas, give him Yiddishkeit, give him mitzvahs. That's all he wants. From each of us. And he argues that the mitzvahs that you're giving him, you're giving yourself. Because this increase in precision and exactitude of Kiyum HaTorah mitzvah is the Keli Machzik Bracha. All the brachas in our lives are predicated on Yiddishkeit. It's a simple belief. It's a simple teaching. It's really simple. And this is how we have to mark Gimmel Tammuz. When this day comes, there's Fashid and Nishitas, right? There's the Veyes Mir, there's the people who think that you love the Rebbe is that you're miserable. And there's no such Chassidus, by the way. Nishtas Chassidus. And then there's the people who say, nothing happened. It's a garbage getroffen. But this is a nichir zach. Whatever your shita is, whatever your beliefs are, this is true. This is an important day. And we mark this day. and we chazek chassidus on this day, and we do the minhagim on this day, and we spend a little bit of time trying to create more of an awareness of the Rebbe, and more of a focus on our hiskashus, of our relationship, of our connection to the Rebbe. And of course, this is a complicated issue. Hiskashus is very dynamic. It's very multifaceted. It's a lot of layers. But on the simplest level, hiskashus means asakum tzu noch a bissel Yiddishkeit. In my life, there's a little more Yiddishkeit today than there was yesterday, because another Gimmel Tammuz came and went. It's about us. It's about us. For one person, it's a shir and Torah. That I don't learn enough Torah, and I'm going to take on another shir and Torah. And for another person, it's a shir and Torah which I've neglected that I want to renew. For a third person, it's being more particular about davening with a minyan, or davening in a shul. Yeah, everybody has their inyonim. Everybody has their things with which they struggle. And everybody has the opportunity on a day like today, on this day, not like today, this day, to identify something in their Avodas Hashem life which they're struggling with, and to say Ad Kan. Today is a very serious, very, very important day, and I am marking this day by accepting upon myself, by committing myself, by dedicating myself to improve myself in this area. This is all the Rebbe wants. It's all he wants. And these little achatas tevis are a keli machzik bracha. It's the medium for all the brachas. We wrote an oil. We were all oil today. I think about it. I wrote a 5-page pan. That's a lot of words to put in opinion. Now, of course, I must have had 100 names, but still. The poor Polish guy, the guy with the pace was trying to push me, and I wasn't letting him push. I wanted to stay more than he wanted to fight with me, so I won that fight. I just want you to know it. The Polish are not the Italians, you know what I'm saying? With the T-shirt and with the radio. He said, "Ain't coming to stippen," and that was the end of that. I read my opinion. Now that Gimmel Tammuz is over, I can reveal the truth. But if I finish, what I wrote, me. Ich darf das. That's my vision. It's a laundry list of requests and needs. I wrote my wife's name. I wrote my name, what I need. My wife's name and what she needs. Each one of my children's names, especially the ones that are not married. My married children, they have their own life, they have their own husbands. But I wrote for them, whatever it is, I have my list of people that I write in a pan. And I thought to myself, this is really, I'm a chazer. Me kommt again, gimme. Was gibst du mir? Let's be honest. And what am I getting for all of this? Ich will geben Gesundheit. The Rebbe is a Rebbe. So what am I giving back? And of course, this is the V'yichoi Lecha. This is the whole Maimer. The whole Maimer is V'yichoi Lecha. That the V'yata Tetzaveh. Right? We all ask ourselves. It's after Gimmel Tammuz. And when the Lubavitcher Chassidim, and the Lubavitcher Chassidim hoffen auf Mashiach, and that's what we defined, right? This Lashon is in the Frierdiker Rebbe's Zettel, which they found in his room when they arrested him in Tafresh Pei, and they found the Zettel. Had Yidden was hoffen auf Mashiach. Mir hoffen auf Mashiach. We're Makava, we all are Metzapel Yeshua. We're waiting for the Mitas Gula, Mitas Vashleima to happen. This is our lives. Every minute waiting for Mashiach Tzidkeinu. And we come to the Rebbe with our needs. We have so many needs. We have so many needs. And what the Rebbe needs from us is that the Tzipiyah Yeshua, that our want and desire for Mashiach Tzidkeinu, should be a want and a desire that translates into being more erlich, being more frum, being more oiskehit. Each person in his inyan, whatever it is that you're struggling with, this is the day to finally say, Mikan al Abov, going forward, this test, this fight, I'm gonna win. It's all the Rebbe wants. And the Rebbe is, he gives an awful lot for very little. But epis, a little bit we have to try and appreciate that a day like today cannot come and go. You know, it's a day. It's a day in the calendar. So like every other day, there's mitzvahs, rituals. You know, come to Rosh Hashanah, what do? You blow shofar. You finish blowing shofar, Hashanah is over, next. Tzem Gedalia, you don't eat. Comes at night, you eat. Next, what comes next? Shabbos Shuvah. What is Shabbos Shuvah? Special Haftarah. In some communities they make drashas. Next, then comes Kaporos, then comes Yom Kippur. But then there's a pnimius. Everything has a pnimius. There's the series of rituals. There's things that we do. And there's what it all means. So today was Gimmel Tammuz. So some of us learned to Prakim Tanya. They lit a candle. They said the Ma'amar Chassidus by night and in the morning and after Mincha. The various minhagim. If you're Ma'amar Chassidus Yid, you went and you found other Jews. And you talked, like it says in the Rebbe's letter, you went and you found Yidden. And you told them the Ava that the Rebbe has for every single Jew in the world. And the Chiba Yesheda that the Rebbe had for the Tzidim. You know the letter? There's a letter that the Rebbe wrote for your children. Things that you should go. You should find Yidden. And you should talk to them about the Friedik, about the Rebbe. And you should tell them that he thought and he worried about every single Jew. Especially the youth. Particularly, especially the young people. He had a very deep love for the young people. That they should be mischazik, they should strengthen themselves. And you want to tell them, minhagim. Okay, so it came Gimmel Tammuz. Got the list of minhagim. What I got to do now? What I got to do now? I paid all my bills. I'm good. I lit the mishnayos. I lit a candle. Right? But that's not what Gimmel Tammuz is. That's what you do in Gimmel Tammuz. What's Gimmel Tammuz? Gimmel Tammuz is the day of Chassidus. It's a serious day. It's an extraordinarily earnest and important and serious day. And it has to do with the fact that we have a relationship with the Rebbe, the Nasi Ador, with the Rebbe, the Nasi Ador. And let's be honest. We have no erech whatsoever. The Rebbe said in the first Maimer that the Friedik Rebbe got the Abbas Yisrael to Yidden was an Bechlal Nish Gewen Be'erkom B'teinu B'mitzvah. In halacha, in Jewish law, there's a category of Chavercha B'teinu B'mitzvahs. A Jew who's in your orbit. In halacha, there's a category, Yidden who are in your level. And the Rebbe said the Rebbe was involved with what? With us. Why? Because we were alive. That's why he was involved with us. And that's all it was. So the Rebbe did what he had. There's no erech, klal. If you want to talk about the Rachmanis of Yidden, there's no erech whatsoever. I mean, the Rebbe has no shaykhs to us, but he's a Rebbe. So he wasn't lonely. As they said in Ayim Yim, he wasn't lonely. The Rebbe wasn't lonely because of such great jlobis like you and me. It's kind of funny, but as they said in Ayim Yim, Chassidus removes the loneliness from the world. That the God will be soul, that the Reish Yeshiva, the Rosh Mesifta is talent. There's a kasher. There's a hiskashas, there's a bond between the Rebbe and us and the Rebbe. But this day, after all the minhagim and all the different things that we're supposed to do and be busy with, is about this hiskashas. And this hiskashas has to translate in our lives, in my life, in being more Yid. That's all the boss wants. It's really all he wants. Mendav does that headed. Mendav does that headed. We have to feel this, we have to sense this, we have to feel this, we have to appreciate this, and we have to value this. And essentially the message is, if I may say it in other words, there is an attitude of the chatchila b'di'evet, don't be too frum, don't get carried away. The whole mitzias of the Lubavitch Rebbe is l'chatchila, there's nobody of it. The Rebbe's whole inyan is that if you could do a mitzvah more beautifully or less beautifully, you do it more beautifully. If you could do a mitzvah more precisely or more on time or for a longer period of time, or you could do it less precisely or less on time or for less period of time, the whole inyan of the Rebbe is that everything should be l'chatchila. We're his chassidim. And this is a moment, this is a time when we need to look at ourselves in the mirror and appreciate that this is what it means. I'm a Lubavitcher. So it is not an Indian in Yiddishkeit that I don't take seriously, because the Rebbe takes it. Fanamaise. That the Rebbe went to a hall for a chuppah. The Rebbe Mamish the Erste Zeit. The Rebbe, I don't know if you know the history, for the first 10 years, the Rebbe officiated the wedding. It was Masad the Gedush. And for those who do not know, and it's good to mention this, the Rebbe made two conditions. That he would give you a Siddur Kedushin. It changed over the course of the decade. Later on, the Rebbe became more selective. But the two conditions were that he would wear a beard, a full beard, and she would wear a sheitel. The Rebbe did not want necessarily a kapota, or even a gartel. The tzveit abod mit a sheitel. that he has to wear a full beard and she has to wear a sheitel. Bacharim went to their chuppahs with short jackets, and the Rebbe started Kedushin. Stama they wore a gartel. But Bacharim went to their chuppah with short jackets. The two conditions the Rebbe made was a beard and a sheitel. Abot mit a sheitel. Those are the conditions that the Rebbe wanted. But in the beginning, the Rebbe actually went to the hall. The Rebbe went to the hall 10 times. 10 chuppahs the Rebbe went to the hall. The first chuppah was Posner. I leapt, like label Posner. Lamed Shvat Tov Shin Yud Aleph, the Rebbe went to a chuppah. Rabbi Posner, I leapt, stark. And the Rebbe 10 times he went to the hall. And then the Rebbe said he's not going to the hall anymore. So it was a short break. There was a period of a few months where the Rebbe stopped sitting Kedushin. And then Shalom Arozov, I think, about before Pesach, with David Raskin. And they were matzir to the Rebbe that maybe they'll make the chuppah in front of 770 and the Rebbe will come out. And the Rebbe agreed. So it became a new seder that in those days there was no halls in Crown Heights. So you made the Kabbal's Punim here, wherever it was, maybe in 770 itself. You made the chuppah in front of 770, and the Rebbe came out, and the Rebbe was Masad Kedushin, and then they went to the hall. The Mishpacha went to the hall. In other words, the Rebbe didn't, in those 10 times, if the Rebbe came to the hall, the Rebbe walked in, they walked into the chuppah, to the hall, the chassan sitting there, and the Rebbe Poshet sat down next to the chassan. He sat down next to the chassan. Now you understand yourself that when the Rebbe was sitting next to the chassan wasn't exactly saying my Chassidus, you understand? So he sat there with bittul. You can see the photos. And the Rebbe spoke a sicha. After the Rebbe spoke one sicha, the chassan is going to the badekin. As far as I know, the Rebbe never went to the badekin. Chacha filu al min hogim shteit. It's part of the whole program. You have to follow. You have to give the chassan koyach. You go with the chassan. I don't think the Rebbe did that. And when the chassan would go out to prepare for the chuppah, the Rebbe would speak a second sicha. And the Rebbe would sit until they told him that the chassan is waiting under the chuppah. When the chassan went under the chuppah, the Rebbe would go out, and the Rebbe waited for the kala to come, and the Rebbe would be there when they did the 7 hakafas, and the Rebbe would start the kedushin. So one of these 10 chuppahs, they came to the hall and they found out that the roof was broken. In America, it was the chuppah room. A chuppah room for the Framakis meant that it was the top floor, and you can open up the ceiling, there should be top of Kippus HaShamayim. And it broke. Whatever pulley system they had to make the chuppah under the stars was compromised because the mechanism was broken. So the Mishpacha told the Rebbe, we're going to have to do the chuppah inside. So the Rebbe says, maybe we can do it outside in the sidewalk. Oh, we have no permit. We have no permit. Anyway, one bacher ran. So the Rebbe said, ask the proprietor, ask the owner of the hotel, of the hall. So he told him, there's a guy. Anyway, one of the bacherim is nicht nispal with the Narishkeit, and he ran over to the owner of the hall and said, would he mind if made the chuppah on the side? So go right ahead. So he comes running in, and the Machon are trying to explain to the Rebbe that you can't do it this way. In Lashon America, it's a chil Hashem. It's a chil Hashem. It was not. You have no permit. You didn't ask permission before. B'chuli. And the guy said, "Go right ahead." So the bacher came in, and the Machon were trying to talk the Rebbe out of it. And the bacher says, "I got permission to do it in the sidewalk." So the Rebbe laughs. Often goy hat man schnell gepeilt, the Rebbe said. Often goy, the guy gave in right away. It's the Yid. You understand? Often goy hat man schnell gepeilt. And the Rebbe made the chuppah on the sidewalk. This Rabbi Yossi is a yesod. We're Lubavitcher Chassidim. We're Lubavitcher Chassidim. Lubavitcher Chassidim are Yerei Shamayim. Lubavitcher Chassidim are Medakta Bakalak Bachamura. Lubavitcher Chassidim in Yiddishkeit is Lechatchila. Lechatchila. This is who we are, and this is what the Rebbe wants. If you don't want to do it for yourself, do it for the Rebbe. Why do it for the Rebbe? You don't love the Rebbe. You love yourself. I love myself. When I go to the oil, my laundry list of requests, I need this, I need this, and this. I need this for this child, this for this child. It would be nice if I also offered something, a little bit, epis. Pischalik, pischay shal, chude shal machat. Chude shal machat. Chude shal machat and van eine shal machat. What's the lashon? The chude is the tip. What's the other side called? There's chude shal machat. There's eine shal machat. The eine shal machat. The eye. Open up the eye of the needle, and whatever the hemshach lashon is. In Chassidus Breitzach, ani after pischay shalulam. There's a problem finding the mock of that moy mechazal. But this is us. So I want to say l'chaim, I'm preaching and I'm telling people what to do, which of course is rude and disgusting and not fair and not right. But it's true. Gimmel Tammuz. And Gimmel Tammuz is a Yom HaGadol HaKadosh. It's an awesome day. Sometimes I wish I can go to sleep, Beis Tammuz, make up Dal Tammuz. I just missed the whole situation. Gimmel Tammuz on Edens to Tog, Rabbi Yossi by all of us. Everybody here. And of course we're divided up into two basic groups. Those who are older, those who are Zeich Chassidus Rebbe Begashmis Bepashtus, and those who either never saw the Rebbe or don't have any recollections. And even if they have recollections, the recollections are not mature. They're not sufficiently grown up that the recollections should have meaning. And Hayes Levi Weinberg, I'm not allowed to tell this story, so I'm going to say before I tell the story that I'm not allowed to tell the story. My daughter is married to Hanoch Weinberg, Rabbi Levi Weinberg's son. Levi Weinberg is a Chassidish Yid, he's a Rav, he's a real Meider, he's a Chassidish Yid, he's a big Talmud Chacham. So we're Mechatanim Nebuch, so he's stuck with me. So we're Farbrengen zusammen. And I have a Mishagas that I'm a leech. Whoever I meet, I want to take something from. So I asked him once, tell me your earliest recollection of the Rebbe. Your first memories. I mean, he's a lot older than I. He got married Mistame Lamed Ches. I got married Tafshin Nun. He's a lot older than I am. He's probably 70. So I asked him, what's your earliest recollections of the Rebbe? So he didn't want to tell me. So I said to him, why don't you want to tell me? I'm asking a simple question. What is the first thing you remember that he says? And he said, so he told me these words. What happened to me when I was 5 with the Rebbe doesn't involve a demand. It's a baby story. It's sort of a little kid. He didn't want to tell me the story because the story didn't have meaning to him. Why? Because Rebbe gave him a piece of cake and smiled at him, he gave a glet. That was the story. In other words, his feeling was, if I'm going to tell you a story about the Rebbe, the story is going to, a demand. The story is going to expect something. What happened to me as a 5-year-old, then he told me the story, by the way. But I was such a deadhead. He said, I want to tell you what happened when I was 5 years old. He thought it was okay, it happened. I went to the Rebbe gave me a piece of cake, and he told me you're a sweet boychik, and that was the end of that. He told him katviyah. A chassid knows that as much as we all come to the Rebbe, and we ask him, there's a tviyah. There's a demand on us.
What's yours?
What
was yours?
Was my earliest remembrances. Okay, but you see, but Gimmel Tammuz is this. When ich will be'eder sein bei jedem einem, I'm not saying this as somebody who's on top of the mountain. I'm no better than anybody else. But this is the truth. We just spent 24 hours obsessing over the Rebbe. And if we have seichel, we didn't feel bad for ourselves because that's not helpful. If we didn't have seichel, we felt terrible for ourselves. But in any case, we spent the last 24 hours with the full appreciation that we're involved in an exercise where we're avoiding something. And what we're avoiding is the place we play in this relationship. The Gimmel Tammuz is about us. And now we're Avodah. And now we're Torah. And now we're Yiras Shamayim. And I feel like every time I farbrengen, I have to talk about chinuch. You just have to talk about chinuch. How we raise our children. This is Gimmel Tammuz. This is what the Rebbe values. It's what the Rebbe cares about. Let not, Gimmel Tammuz be like the kikoy and the yoina. It comes, you cry, you laugh, you don't know what to do, you're nervous, you're just twitching, and then it's over. Okay, now it's Gimmel Tammuz, Baruch Hashem, Gimmel Tammuz is past. Forgot about it, now I'm going back to work. It's daf nicht sein azoi. There needs to be a takeaway from Gimmel Tammuz. And the takeaway from Gimmel Tammuz is us. So l'chaim v'levrocha, l'chaim Temimim Machon, which mentioned Yedin von uns Alaman, that we should have seichel, and not just take a hachlata because the Rebbe wants to take a hachlata. We should take a hachlata because the Rebbe teaches us that this is the best thing for us. The best thing for us is an increase, if it's going to add an increase in Torah and mitzvahs. We in our own lives, we're all beautiful people, we're all good Jews. But we could all have an increase in Torah and mitzvahs. So l'chaim v'levracha, we should figure out what it is that we're going to make hachlata teva for this Gimmel Tammuz, and we should keep the hachlata. And there should be a keli machzik bracha for all the brachas of the Eibishter, for all the brachas and aslachas that the Rebbe gives. It's all he wants. We want a lot of money. We want easy children. Amachaya. Yeah, it's an oxymoron if you ever heard one. Yeah, we want the nicest shidduchim. We want that our kids should all be masmidim and balimidas tevis and yirei shamayim, and they should also be hip and cool and loved. We want. What does the Rebbe want? The Rebbe wants his own learning, his own davening, his own din, and the Meibish. The Rebbe wants that we should prioritize Torah and Avodah and Gemilas Chasodim. So we should take it upon ourselves to do it b'peil mamish and give the Rebbe a little nachas, an incentive to give us all the things we want. L'chaim v'levracha, l'chaim v'levracha, l'chaim v'levracha.